Hello and thank you for joining us for another episode of Capital City Sports. I'm your host, Eli Brand. We've got a full slate for you this week, including 2 soccer matches, one against a top 10 opponent. The USC SEC runner-up women's softball team will open their exhibition season, and there will be a huge matchup on the gridiron between Kentucky and South Carolina for SEC East positioning. Our first matchup of the week involves the highly touted South Carolina women's soccer team when they take on Auburn. Dylan Clark is at Stone Stadium with the coverage.
Thanks, Eli. Tonight from Stone Stadium here in Columbia, the number 14 ranked women's soccer team took on number 23 ranked Auburn. The Gamecocks enter this contest sporting an 8-2 record and a 2-1 conference record. They would look to improve that against the Auburn team who's coming off a loss. In the 16th minute, the Gamecocks got right down to the scoring. Celine Solmagnusdottir puts her third of the year in the back of the net. She sails one up into the left-hand corner. And that would be the end of the scoring for at least a little while, all the way up until the 72nd minute. Simone Wark nets one for the Gamecocks, her first of the year, with the assist coming from Bianca Galassini. The Gamecocks wouldn't stop there. They would add a third goal in the 76th minute, coming off the foot of Meredith Christopher, kind of a loose ball play. She pokes it behind the goaltender. And that would be the final score, a 3-0 win for the Gamecocks. 3-save shutout credited to Michaela Krasowski, her 30th of her career, which would put her in second place on the Gamecock all-time shutout list behind only Holly Patton with 31. Krasowski looks to get her 31st and record-tying shutout on October 4th against Georgia. For Capital City Sports, I'm Dylan Clark. Back to you, Eli.
Thank you, Dylan, and congratulations on your first highlight. You pulled it off, buddy. We're going to move on and keep it on the soccer pitch over to the men's side, where South Carolina will take on the highly touted and highly ranked Kentucky Wildcats. Phoebe Murray was at Stone Stadium to give us the recap of the game.
Thanks, Eli. Tonight marks the second of 3 consecutive matches against top 25 teams for the South Carolina men's soccer team. The Gamecocks are hosting the undefeated and number 7 Kentucky Wildcats here at home stadium. Under the lights in Columbia, the matchup against Kentucky was much anticipated, as they're the only other school in the SEC with men's soccer. During warm-ups this season, South Carolina is wearing teal in an effort to raise awareness for ovarian cancer. Prior to the game, Kentucky had only let in 2 goals all season, but late in the first half, senior Bjorn Gudjonsson put South Carolina on the board with an unforgettable diving header. Both teams hungry for a win, the second half saw 30 combined fouls that kept substitutes coming in left and right. Kentucky's Khalil Eldmakar scored at 66 minutes and then had the assist for their second goal at 81 minutes. Both goals went unanswered from South Carolina, and what seemed like an upset ready to come turned into another win for Kentucky and a final score in favor of the Cats, 2-1. After that loss, the Gamecocks are looking for a win on the road when they face number 14 ranked Virginia Tech October 2nd. For Capital City Sports, I'm Phoebe Murray. Back to you, Eli.
Thank you, Phoebe. Moving from one type of football to another, South Carolina traveled to Lexington, Kentucky in an effort to solidify second place in the Southeastern Conference Eastern Division. There with the coverage was Emma Milner.
South Carolina was on the road again this week as they faced the 17th ranked Kentucky Wildcats. Coming off their win against Vanderbilt, the Gamecocks are looking to end their 4-year losing streak to the Wildcats, but it will be no easy task as they will have to go up against standout running back Benny Snell.
The sold-out crowd at Kroger Field was in for a treat as they would see not 1, but 2 games as the South Carolina Gamecocks took on the Kentucky Wildcats. Carolina struggled immensely on both sides of the ball in the first half. Kentucky dominated the running game behind top running back Benny Snell, who rushed for 99 yards with 1 touchdown. Down 24-3 at the half, Carolina's head coach, Will Muschamp, says they didn't make any adjustments, but fans would beg to differ as the Gamecocks were a completely different team entering the third quarter. Where the Gamecocks let Snell rush for 99 yards in the first half, Carolina's defense held him for just 25 in the second. Carolina's Deebo Samuel would score the only Gamecock touchdown of the night off a 58-yard pass from quarterback Jake Bentley. As strong as their offense would perform after the half, turnovers and penalties would keep the Gamecocks from taking control of the scoreboard and ultimately result in their 24-10 loss to the Wildcats.
Careless offensive mistakes and a strong Kentucky defense allowed the Wildcats to continue their winning streak over the Gamecocks. South Carolina will be back at home next Saturday as they host Missouri at noon. For Capital City Sports, I'm Emma Milner.
Moving on to our final event of the week, it included the South Carolina softball team. Coming off of a super regional appearance last season, the Gamecocks looked to stay sharp. Keeping up with the team was Lawrence Thompson.
Thanks, Eli. After coming off one of the best seasons in program history in which the Gamecocks reached the Super Regionals of the NCAA tournament, the Gamecocks looks to start off strong with an opening win against the UNC Charlotte 49ers.
The Gamecocks came out the game swinging with 4 runs in the first inning. A lot of errors by the 49ers aided the Gamecocks throughout the match, making it easy for the Gamecocks to put runs together. The Gamecocks also played very well defensively, making a lot of highlight reel stops and diving catches. In the third inning, the Gamecocks continued with their scoring ways, notching 6 runs in the inning. With the game pretty much out of reach, the Gamecocks hit a solo home run in the bottom of the 5th inning to solidify the win in dominant fashion. The Gamecocks did not allow a run in the game, with the score ending 14-0.
The Gamecocks return to action to continue their fall ball preparation as they take on the Charleston Southern Buccaneers this Friday at 6 p.m. at home. From Capital City Sports, I'm Lawrence Thompson.
Thanks, Lawrence, and that's all for our show this week. Be sure to tune in next week for more Gamecock Athletics. For Capital City Sports, I'm Eli Brand.